Let's look back to the history of mobility and to some milestones of the car development. Such a milestone you see in the picture. It's a Ford Model D by Henry Ford. The first car which was mass produced and the first car which was affordable for normal people.
There were two important inventions of humans. The first is controlling fires. It is assumed that the Homo erectus 1 or 2 million years ago learned to make and control fire. The use of fire is closely linked to the evolution of the human species and civilizations. For a long time, fire did not play a role for mobility, but with the steam engine and later with the internal combustion engine, it is the dominant supply of power for mobility. The second main invention was the wheel. It is hard to imagine how our life would be without it. It is assumed that the wheel was invented around the 4th millennium BC in Mesopotamia by the Sumerians. One of the earliest images of a wheel is the Wheel of Ur. On a fragmentary relief from 2500 BC, the wheel is shown. It is from the city of Ur in Mesopotamia on a chariot drawn by two lions. First mobility was by muscle power, first by humans and later by animals.
In the 15th and 16th centuries, there were already some prehistoric vehicles.
At these times, there was no mechanical power source available. There are several examples of design ideas and realized vehicles which were powered by human power. Looking at the designs, most likely walking would be much more efficient. A game changer was coming up in the 17th century with the steam engine. A steam engine was presented first in 1690 by French inventor Denis Papin. In 1763, Scottish inventor James Watt made major improvements. In the 19th century, the steam engines played a major role in the industrialization. In England, the need for wood was so large that 80% of the English forests disappeared and wood had to be replaced by coal. Actually, the first steam-powered vehicle was even invented before the steam engine was invented. Ferdinand Verbiest, living from 1623 to 1688, was a Belgian Jesuit priest living in China. He built a vehicle where the steam from a vessel was blowing on a turbine which was moving the vehicle. 1769. The French Nicolas-Joseph Cugnot designed a steam tractor. It is recognized as the first self-propelled road vehicle. However, it was not successful and crashed at his first presentation into a wall. In 1829, the Stephenson locomotive Rocket traveled between Liverpool and Manchester at a speed of 48 kilometers per hour with 13 horsepower and 4 tons of weight. It proved that steam engines were an excellent power source for trains, ships, industry, and agricultural equipment. Around 1,900 steam engine-powered vehicles became popular. In New York City, 1/3 of a vehicle had a steam engine, but within 10 years, steam engine cars were totally replaced by gasoline-powered internal combustion engine vehicles. Electric vehicles were already used in the early years of motoring. An electric motor is a perfect match to power a vehicle. In the early days of cars, it also had the big benefits that starting was easy, while a combustion engine had to be started by hands. In these days, there were more accidents by broken arms from starting the engine than by car traffic. In 1899, Camille Janazzi from Belgium drove the first car, which could reach 100 kilometers per hour, and this car was an electric car. Around 1990, 1/3 of all cars in New York City were electric cars. These were especially popular with women, since no dirty engines, no needed to hand start the engine, and easy to operate. But batteries and speed control were primitive, and driving distance and battery reliability poor. By that, electric cars were quickly replaced after 10 years by gasoline cars. When the first gasoline cars had an electric engine starter also, these became more usable, and you might say the electric starter motor killed the electric propulsion motor. After the early 1900 years, the electric cars disappeared for 90 years from the streets. In 1990, the California Air Resources Board tried to push for electric cars by implementing a zero-emission vehicle program which forced manufacturers to build and sell electric cars. The General Motors EV1 was the most famous car of this area. But on the one side, the California Air Resources Board underestimated the further development potential of conventional cars. On the other side, they overestimate the potential of electric cars, its market readiness and customer acceptance. So, this unrealistic program had to be stopped. General Motors recalled all of the EV1 cars, which were only leased to the owners, and destroyed all EV1s in 1999. Some say General Motors killed the electric cars. The real reason was, most likely, that these cars never fulfilled the safety regulations, and General Motors was afraid of deadly car accidents with it. In 2012, electric cars made its second comeback with the Tesla Model S, and this time they came to stay. Tesla also understands that it is too less to make and sell cars, but that you must also take care on the charging infrastructure. With today's modern technologies, and with the strong focus on reduction of CO2 emissions, electric cars will remain for a long time and will become a dominant car technology. The internal combustion engine became, after 1900, quickly the dominant power source for vehicles and has this position until today. The combustion car was invented in 1886 by the German Carl Benz. This first car was the Benz patent Motorwagen, with 3 wheels and a 1-cylinder 1-liter engine, with 0.75 horsepower, 1908. Henry Ford from the USA, made with the Ford Model T, the first mass-produced car, and made cars affordable for most people. Before, cars were only affordable for rich people. The car was sold worldwide and was for a long time the most sold car of the world. From his Model T, also Tin Lizzy called, 15 million cars were produced from 1908 to 1927. In 1938, the Volkswagen Beetle, designed by the Austrian-Hungarian Ferdinand Porsche, was built from 1938 to 2003. With over 21 million vehicles, the Beetle replaced the Ford Model T as the world's best-selling car, before being overtaken by the VW Golf, who invented the internal combustion engine. In 1857, Eugenio Barsanti and Felice Matucci from Lucca in Italy invented the first internal combustion engine. In opposite to later engines, it was an atmospheric 2-cycle engine. In the first part, air and fuel was below the piston. When it was ignited, the piston was moved up. On the piston, a rack was mounted, which turned a pinion on the flywheel. There was also a mechanism which made the flywheel only to turn in one direction. When moving up Below the piston, a vacuum was generated and the atmospheric pressure moved the piston back to the lower position. This engine was the first internal combustion engine. Who invented the four-stroke internal combustion engine? That is a little bit more complicated and curious topic. In 1860, the Austrian Christian Reifmann got the patent for the four-stroke internal combustion engine. For sure he is the inventor, but since he and his patent was not well known, in 1876 the German Nikolaus Otto also got a patent for the four-stroke internal combustion engine. Therefore, Otto is often seen as the inventor of the engine, especially in Germany. But after a patent dispute, his patent was withdrawn, since it was much later than the one of Reismann that was also important for the whole car business. Otto was requesting license fees from anyone building the engine, but Reitman was allowing everyone to use his patent for free. Clearer is the invention of the diesel engine by German Rudolf Diesel in 1892. In 1913 he disappeared from a ship going to England and was never seen alive again. His death remained unsolved, with rumors from suicide because of bankruptcy to murdered by the German army, since he wanted to sell the diesel engine to the English army.